morning, and welcome to Rising. We have an awesome show for you today, and if you're confused by what you're watching, please don't be. We are proceeding boldly into an exciting new future in our new studio location. I think it's great. I love the color behind us.
We like it. We're fans of this. Our new accommodations.
Yes.
Robby.
Now viewers have to bear with us. We're still deciding, how far forward we sit.
Exactly. How close to each other we should be if we get animated or angry.
I want a bowl for this table. I want some various things.
The big beautiful bowl we've decided to call it.
And
right?
people can see our legs now, which I don't know, maybe that's the main draw.
Rating spike, I would say, for sure.
But people who've been watching as long as I've been hosting Rising know that though the look has changed with some frequency, it's still the same Rising content you expect and need and love, which we will be getting to right now.
It is a perfect segue, Robby. So let's get started. What is on your radar?
Well, was Jeffrey Epstein an intelligence asset, and is that the reason the federal officials have consistently declined to reveal more information about who was involved in his underage sex trafficking ring? This question has been on the minds of everyone who closely followed the Epstein saga for years, and now President Donald Trump himself was finally asked about it. And the president did not appreciate the question. In fact, he seems annoyed that media reporters are still asking about Epstein. Here was his response to a direct question about whether Epstein was an intelligence asset.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration. But
Trump then gave the floor to Attorney General Pam Bondi, who said she would look into it and get back to the media on the intelligence asset question. Yeah, right. Now look, the reason the Trump administration is suddenly back-footed on the Epstein issue is because multiple government officials have been exposed as either liars or grifters. Now let me explain. Multiple top officials, including Bondi, but also FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino, came to prominence in part because they promised that they would reveal everything the government knew about Epstein if support from MAGA propelled them into positions of power. Now, the MAGA base elevated them and trusted them to deliver on this key promise: release the Epstein client list. Make public what the government knows about powerful men who solicited sex with underage girls while hanging around with this creep Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Expose any in law enforcement or government who protected them or misled the public on their behalf. It's that simple. That was the promise. Now, for many conservatives, libertarians, even many on the left, frankly, this was serious stuff. A sexual predator with vast social ties to government and big business got away with his appalling crimes for years, engineered a sweetheart prison deal once apprehended, and then went right back to his misdeeds afterward. He palled around with Bill Gates and Prince Andrew. He was a major financial force in the U.S. Virgin Islands and a political force. He had a relationship with Bank of America. He hobnobbed with politicians in both parties, Bill Clinton and Donald Trump, going way, way back. And of course, he eventually died in prison under suspicious circumstances. Now, I, for one, think it's perfectly plausible that he did kill himself. I've said that a lot on the show. But you can't help but wonder, I don't blame anyone for wondering, whether any powerful people had an interest in silencing him. Importantly, the Bonginos and Patels of the world vowed to clear all this up. But now their answer is there's nothing to see here. All the information's already public. I mean, maybe, but that's pretty unsatisfying. They certainly acted like there was more to come. Bondi, in fact, engineered a now ridiculous-seeming photo op in which he gave binders supposedly containing Epstein info to MAGA influencers like DC Drano and Libs of TikTok. Now, the binders were labeled Phase 1, as if this was just the first in a series of incredible revelations. What was in those binders? Information we already knew? Sigh. Well, so that all seems like grifting, frankly. Like Bondi and company misled not just the public, but their own boosters, their own fans in particular. These people are understandably upset. Liz Wheeler, a conservative influencer who did receive the Epstein binder, she wrote on X that Bondi should lose her job. Now, the other possibility is that this isn't a grift. There actually is additional damning information about Epstein's associates in the government's possession. But the reason they aren't telling you more about it is this. the intelligence community relied on Epstein for years, this is the theory, was well aware of his sexual proclivities, but turned a blind eye to that so that he could continue providing intelligence or even blackmail materials to the US government or to a foreign power. Does that sound like a conspiracy theory? Maybe it is, but the alternative explanation is that several of the most prominent leaders of the MAGA movement treated their own supporters, you guys, like chumps. And I don't like it, Niall. I don't like it.
No, I mean, I think that we are broadly in agreement on this, actually. This isn't one of the issues where we've big ideological differences. Jeffrey Epstein was at the nexus of a whole lot of influential, powerful people while being a predator on a huge scale. Obviously, that raises questions. You rightly in your radar suggested that are these people like Bondi and Kash Patel and all that liars or grifters? And I think that's really the key question. Because either they were knowingly saying stuff that was untrue to sort of gin up the base and to aggravate people, or it was just like nonsense. And so that is a real problem, I think, for them. One of the points I would make in addition to the ones you made is it's not only what they said about unveiling this, it's the fact that there are people now close to President Trump who suggested that keeping this off limits was nefarious, including Donald Trump Jr. in 2023 tweeting, "Show us all the Epstein list. Why would anyone protect those scumbags? Ask yourself this question daily and the answer becomes very apparent." Well, is the answer still very apparent? Has the answer changed?
Right, because now they're the ones protecting this list if it does exist. And maybe it just doesn't exist.
Right.
Maybe, but they should have said that much more clearly from the start, because Pam Bondi, as recently as a couple of weeks ago, in response to media questions about this from conservatives, from Fox, gave the impression that it did exist and that we'd be getting more disclosures about people who were involved. Maybe that she just wasn't paying close enough attention, or it was not acknowledging that information had already been released.
Yeah, I mean, if it's
just a big nothing burger, that's so unsatisfying given what their position with respect to this has been.
And the issue about that Fox interview is it wasn't just that it exists in some abstract or nebulous fashion. It was apparently on her desk and has now seemingly disappeared from her desk into the ether where there isn't any information.
The intelligence asset idea, by the way, my understanding is that is an idea introduced itself by Alex Acosta, a former Trump administration official from the first season of the Trump presidency, who was also the relevant legal authority in Florida for the first prosecution of Epstein. And I believe now, it's not a solid source. I believe it's an unnamed source to the Daily Beast or something, said that he had said that. So it could be mistaken.
Right.
But frankly, it is not beyond, it doesn't beggar the belief system or challenge my imagination that much that now they get in charge and they go, okay, let's release it all. And they find out, oh, wait a minute. Sure. He knew things and he was gathering information or doing state-sponsored blackmail, and we can't bring any of that to light, which is horrifying, but I can believe it.
Oh, I mean, the whole thing is just so massively sketchy that there are absolutely valid questions and they haven't been answered at all. Meanwhile, up next, leaked audio of President Trump saying he's going to bomb the blank out of Moscow if Putin attacked Ukraine.